Hello and welcome to Grognard Solo Gaming. I am the Grognard, and today we are playing Curse of Strahd. And the first thing that I am going to say about this campaign is that it is not for children, nor is it for sensitive people. So if you are either of those, then you really shouldn't watch or listen to this campaign. Right, so what do I need to say before I get started? Well, I mean, as the viewer, you should probably expect the mud and the blood and the doom and the gloom and the general grimdark that you would expect from, well, maybe my channel in general, but also Curse of Strahd in particular. And I have created a party of 5 characters. And the way that this is going to work is that if one character dies, then the campaign moves on, the character gets replaced. If 2 characters die, then I'll think about it from the perspective of the characters and also from my own perspective, depending on how much fun I'm having. But if 3 or more characters die, then the campaign is over. Then they are not going to be able to recover from the defeat. So that's something to keep in mind, that this is actually me solo gaming. It's not a show that where I give no guarantees that there is going to be a satisfying narrative epic ending. If a character drowns, if too many characters drown on their way to the epic final battle, well, I'm sorry, that's what happened, and that's how it's going to end. So just a sort of a warning ahead of time that this can end very abruptly mid-campaign if the dice are against me. So just be aware of that. And then what else to say? Well, the only house rule that I know right now that I will be using is that instead of spell slots, I am going to use spell points. And the very simple reason for that is that in case I want to put the spell points on the screen, then it takes up way less space than to try to cover all the different spell slots, especially since 4 out of 5 characters are magic users to some extent. So that is it, but then that can change. It's not written in stone. I might make changes along the way, and this is also very much learning by doing. I wanted to get this started, so this is me getting this going, because it's much easier to keep going than to start, I feel. So that is that with that, probably. Then I'm going to try this time around to not say the numbers I roll too much. I'm going to try to focus on simply, is it a hit or a miss, and then how much damage. And I think that is it, the things that I have to say before I get started. So I have created a party of 5, because the adventure Curse of Strahd is for 4 to 6 characters, and I am going to be using milestone leveling. And there is a little table in the adventure that says what level you should be when you reach certain places. So basically, once I am done with an area and I move to the next one, then they are going to level up. The party has a religious theme that some of you might recognize. They are all centered around the worship of a god called Sathramelin. This is all, by the way, things that I have made up. It's not part of the Forgotten Realms or anything D&D related. However, they worship Sathramelin. They come from the land Agremini. They all live in the capital of Agremini, called Lutz. And the leader of the party is a human cleric named Friedrich Dümmler, and he belongs to the Order domain. So Sathramelin is a god of the sun and fire and the sky and wrath and war and destroying evil, basically. So these are not your typical good guys, and that's part of why I sort of give a bit of a warning. If you're looking for a feel good story, this is not it. These are going to be quite cold and cruel and hardened and fanatical people who basically love the smell of Greek fire in the morning. They are here to serve their god, to destroy evil, and if people get in the way, it's not going to bother them too much. So please be aware that it might not be the type of story that you enjoy listening to. Moving on. So Friedrich Dümmler is a human cleric of the Order domain. His background is that he is an acolyte. I'm not going to go into the numbers, but he has two bodyguards, and they are called Gottlieb and Gottfried, and they are nobles, their background. And their last name is von Goldschmidt, and they are both human paladins, and they are twins. And they look exactly alike, they dress exactly alike, and they have exactly the same stats. And that was simply to make it easy on myself, so that I technically just had to make 4 characters. But also I had the idea for sort of twin bodyguards, and I thought it was really cool. So that's also the reason why I went with that. Then also part of the party is Janosch Hertz, who is a human rogue, though technically in the world he is a witch hunter. So that is how the others would refer to him. He has the urchin background. Janosch is going to be the character that is probably going to act mostly like a normal adventuring type character. He might loot the dead and search the rooms and things like this, while the others, Friedrich, Gottlieb, and Gottfried, they are much less likely to do so. And then finally, we have the most strange character, and that is Seraphine. And she is an Asimai in Agramini, the world that, or the land that these characters come from. The Asimai are sort of known as the chosen of Sathramelin, and when they are born, there are omens and things surrounding their birth. When that happens, then the mother is moved to an abbey where the nuns, Sathramelin worshipping nuns, will take care of her and deliver the baby, who is then an Asimai. And the Asima child is so the Asima child is born from human parents, but never gets to know his or her parents, but is instead raised within the abbey by the nuns. Then, unless it's a boy, then it's moved. The child is moved to an abbey with monks. And so that is why Seraphine has the hermit background. She has been raised inside the abbey. And then when an Asima becomes old enough, then they are sort of given a place within the church. And the Asima in Agramini are viewed pretty much like living saints. They have an extraordinary amount of power, you might say, even if they are not highly ranked in the hierarchy of the church. They have a very strong and special standing in society as a whole. So, and that might also play a part within the party, because Friedrich Dümler is the leader, and Seraphine is quite young, and she is like a neophyte in the hierarchy of the church. But all the other party members are deathly afraid of her becoming upset with them. So in a way, she can be seen as the leader, because the others don't really want to anger her, because these are people who their wrathful god is very much a living reality from day to day. They know that Sathramelin is out there, he's watching them, he's giving them all these supernatural powers, and they know that they have to follow his will, otherwise things are going to end poorly. And then there is this being that is sort of like a child of the god, and they don't really know how. They know that they have to treat those children well, but they don't really know what happens if they don't, so to speak. So that we'll see how, if that plays a role in the party dynamics or not. But Seraphine then is a divine soul sorcerer. Generally, the worshippers, the church of Sathramelin, they do not like wizards. There are no wizards within the church, and the only type of sorcerer that is allowed are the divine soul, and those are the Asimai. So there are no human sorcerers, and there are no sorcerers in general in the church of Sathramelin. So what has happened just prior to beginning is that there is war in Agramony, and Seraphine has reached the age where she is to be brought to the high priest in Lutz, in the Bargensola Cathedral. But this was made difficult by the war. So Friedrich brought soldiers and moved them to the abbey in order to liberate or to bring Seraphine back to the capital. And there was some fighting, but all in all, the mission was successful. But then, as the unit, his military unit, was moving back towards Lutz, they came upon a strange mist, and that is where it all begins. Currently, Friedrich and his two bodyguards and the witch hunter and the sorcerer, Seraphine, they have managed to stick together, but the rest of their military unit has been lost in the mist. The party are riding horses, and they are traveling slowly through the mist, and they come upon a gravel road, and in the distance, as far they can see very far, but they can see what looks like a house. So they all decide, well, technically it's the party leader, Friedrich, who decides that they should move towards the building, because it is the first interesting thing that they have seen since they got lost in the mist, and they can no longer hear any of the other soldiers or anything. It is quite quiet and a little bit unsettling in this thick mist. As they get closer, they can hear a soft whimpering, and as they look in that direction, they can see that close to the entrance of the house, because it is indeed a house, there are two children standing, and the party is going to ride up to the children and have a look at them and also inspect the house. It's slightly strange because the house doesn't really look like it belongs here. There's no garden or anything around the house, and it's just one singular lonely house standing in the mist. But also the mist is so thick it's hard to see what is even if it is nearby, it's hard to see. There are two children standing outside of the house, a boy and a girl. The boy looks like he is around 7, and the girl looks like she is maybe 10. After shushing the boy, the girl turns to you and says, "There's a monster in our house." She then points to the house that clearly has seen better days. It has dark windows and a gated portico on the ground floor. And the party can see that the rusty gate is slightly ajar. So, Friedrich Dimmler, the cleric and leader, is going to talk to the children. "Hello there, children. What is this place? Who are you?" My name is Rose, and this is my little brother Thorn. We ran out of our house. There's a monster in there." "What do you mean? What kind of a monster? Where are your parents?" "Well, they're inside. I think maybe the monster got them, and also our little brother Walter. He's in there. He's on the 3rd floor." "You mean you left your brother? What kind of children are you?" "Well, we were scared. We didn't know what to do." "All right. Well, we are gonna need to speak to your parents. Wait here, and we will deal with this monster, and your parents will come get you, if they are still alive." Okay. Thank you. Be careful. We'll just wait right here then." "Yes, you better." Alright, so the party is going to get off their horses, and they're going to tie their horses, and they are going to go up to the entrance. The paladins are going to get their glaives out and keep them at the ready. So let us see here. A wrought iron gate with hinges on one side and a lock on the other fills the archway of a stone portico. Well, the cleric is going to try the gate, and he finds that it is unlocked. So this is 1A. The gate is unlocked, and its rusty hinges shriek when the gate is opened. Oil lamps hang from the portico ceiling by chains, flanking a set of oaken doors. The party is going to arrange themselves like so. In the front are the two paladins with their glaives in their hands. Then the cleric, Friedrich, is going to be behind them, and in the rear is going to be Janos and Seraphine. Friedrich has his mace in his hand, and he has a shield on his other arm, and Janos has his short bow ready. And because they are now officially monster hunting, he has an arrow at the ready, so he can fire very quickly if there is need. And Seraphine, she carries a short sword and 2 daggers, but she is not going to draw any of her weapons. She is instead going to be ready with her spells if there is need. And just as a detail, normally you would have spell focus as a sorcerer, but because she is a divine soul sorcerer, she has a holy symbol of Sathramelin instead to cast her spells. So the party moves into 1B, and Hanging on the south wall of the foyer is a shield emblazoned with a coat of arms, a stylized golden windmill on a red field, flanked by framed portraits of stony-faced aristocrats. Mahogany-framed double doors lead from the foyer into the house, and they are set with panes of stained glass. Right. So the paladins are simply going to move up to the door and see if it is open. And as far as I can tell, it is not locked. So one of them opens. They move sort of like tactical units. So one paladin opens the door, the other paladin moves through the door with the business side of the glaive first, and then they are taking up positions. So the first paladin checks the room, takes up a position, the next paladin moves in, one is looking north, one is looking east, and this is the way that they work when they are on a mission like this. Again, currently, as far as they know, they are monster hunting. So they move into the main hall and take positions. Then Friedrich, the cleric, follows, and after that, Janos and Seraphine. Right, so 2A, the main hall. A wide hall runs the width of the house, with black marble fireplace at one end and a sweeping red marble staircase at the other. Mounted on the wall above the fireplace is a longsword with a windmill cameo work into the hilt. The wood-paneled walls are ornately sculpted with images of vines, flowers, nymphs, and satyrs. The decorative paneling follows the staircase as it circles upward to the second floor. Without counting the door that they came in through, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors, and then the stairs leading up. Okay, so the twins are going to keep an eye on the doors. One is looking at the door to the south, the other one is looking at the doors to the north. They are going to start by checking the room to the south. So that is what they are doing. One paladin yanks the door open, another paladin moves in with his glaive, and then they are moving into room number 3. Meanwhile, Seraphine and Janos are still looking. Well, one of them is keeping watch over the stairs, and the other one is keeping an eye on the doors to the north. Room number 3. This oak-paneled room looks like a hunter's den. Mounted above the fireplace is a stag's head, and positioned around the outskirts of the room are 3 stuffed wolves. 2 padded chairs draped in animal furs face the hearth, with an oak table between them supporting a cask of wine. 2 carved wooden goblets, a pipe rack, and a candelabrum. A chandelier hangs above a cloth-covered table surrounded by 4 chairs. 2 cabinets stand against the walls. The east cabinet sports a strong-looking lock, and the north cabinet looks less secure. Right. So Friedrich is going to enter the room after paladin number 1. Then Janos is going to follow, and one paladin is going to stand guard outside of the room, and Seraphine is also going to enter the room. Then the question is, well, Janos is going to look through the cabinets. The cabinet to the east is locked, right? Well, I don't think he is going to bother bringing out his lockpicks. He's just going to ask a paladin to break it open, and the paladin is going to do that with his glaive. And inside they find a heavy crossbow, a light crossbow, a hand crossbow, and 20 bolts for each weapon. Then there was the north cabinet, and Janosch simply opens that, and it holds a small box containing a deck of playing cards and an assortment of wine glasses. Well, there no one is interested in any of those things. So the party moves out of room 3 back into 2A. They open the, well, they can probably tell that it's a sort of smaller, thinner door leading into 2B. So they open that door first, and that is a cloakroom, and it has several black cloaks hanging from hooks on the walls. A top hat sits on a high shelf. So Friedrich is going to take a look at the robes. These look almost ceremonial in nature.
Yes, you are right, Father.
Right, so he is since he's a priest, the others will, at least the paladins, address him as father, and the paladins have their helmets on, so that is why they.
They sound like this.
Then they are going to move on to the door on the left hand side leading north, and looking at the time, it is going to be the last room for this session. So one paladin yanks the door open, one paladin moves in with a glaive, Friedrich follows just behind the first paladin, and they enter room number 5. The centerpiece of this wood-paneled dining room is a carved mahogany table surrounded by 8 high-backed chairs with sculpted armrests and cushioned seats. A crystal chandelier hangs above the table, which is covered with resplendent silverware and crystalware polished to a dazzling shine. Mounted above the marble fireplace is a mahogany-framed painting of an alpine vale. The wall paneling is carved with elegant images of deer among the trees, and red silk drapes cover the windows, and a tapestry depicting hunting dogs and horse-mounted aristocrats chasing after a wolf hangs from an iron rod bolted to the south wall. The party moves into what turns out to be the dining room, and that is where we are going to end this session. So this was a sort of a learning by doing type of situation. If you have any suggestions or the like so far, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will consider any suggestions that I get. Yes, so that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.